we're making blow mold Santas. I need them around October.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, it's January 22nd. Here's your blow molds. All right, folks, we're back, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about why, in the beginning, everything kind of feels risky at the same time. A lot of decisions going on simultaneously when a lot of people don't know what to expect. So I want to get something made in the USA. They call you. Okay, here's 50 things we need to seemingly do, and all of them have a cost associated with it. So what I want to do is just kind of break each one of these down into smaller chunks so they don't feel so overwhelmed. There's a natural steps, there's natural processes, and a lot of times it's just decision making that isn't going to cost you every time. You're not charging per phone call.
No.
For instance.
Yeah, it's not attorney fees, but.
So what are the fees associated to get going in the beginning?
Design. If you don't have a designer, or if you're not a designer, I do offer that service. So something tangible instead of just a napkin sketch. That's like step one, is starting that process. And then from there, it really depends if you go into a prototype phase, 3D prints. It's all to avoid risk down the road. But there's every step of the way, there's some sort of cost. It's not always $1,000, but sometimes it's $25.
And sometimes these are emotional risks in that, hey, we have 3 prototypes, we'll send it out to 3 beta testers, and prepare to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah, and it is risky. It doesn't feel like risk, it is risk. You're starting a business. Anytime you start a business, there's risk involved. So I think that just comes with the territory of being an entrepreneur and business owner. There's always risk involved, no matter what. So the main initial cost is going to be really design, engineering. That initial cost is going to get you the platform and foundation of the product itself. So it's going to go from a napkin sketch into a file that you can take a look on your computer and send it out and start getting quotes with. So
and this is quotes to cut the tool. And when we say cut the tool, that means make the mold itself that actually makes the part process happen.
Yeah, but you can use that for part costs, packaging costs, everything. So it'll be the basis of your cost. It'll be that file. And those can run anywhere from $800 to $4,000, $5,000. There's really not a ceiling to how much it would cost, depending on how complex it is. But if it's simple cost or a simple product, going to be pretty cheap to get rolling on it.
Time frame for design on a simpler type of product?
I always ask for 2 to 3 weeks.
That's not bad.
No. 2 to 3 weeks to get a.
And again, you're not going to go to a junior college and find somebody that's taken a CAD class. These are people that know how to make molds for injection molding, that type of design.
Yeah, my designers know. We've worked with each other so often and so much that I normally don't have to tell him anything. He just knows what needs to be done to make it manufacturable. And then we'll bump back and forth on some of the topics. But it's good because he's extremely, my main designer, he's extremely creative. I'm more logical, so he might run into an issue where I come in and say, well, why don't you just do this? Kind of a blue collar mind, and then you've got him being able to, bring it to life. But yeah, 2 to 3 weeks for a simple design, and then I've seen design take months. So it also depends on backlog. How many projects we've got in the pipeline, and I'll just be right up front with people too. Do you have time on this? Can I? It's going to be probably 8 weeks before we can get this knocked out. Is that okay? And if not, I've got plenty of design firms that I've worked with in the past. Sometimes the molders will do it, and then if it's got some sales behind it, sometimes the molders will do it for free too. So
once it's left design, you would have the tooling cost, which means they're making the mold. Transportation, tariffs.
I load all of that in. So my cost to my customers and clients will have a landed cost number. I can always break it out for them, but this is what it's going to cost. This is
to get here.
This is in the molding shop is what this costs is.
At what point are people filing for patents, getting attorneys, doing all that kind of
stuff? Oh, this is before this. Yeah, this is on the, well, if they don't have a design, If they don't have a design, they're doing it at that point. You can start the process pretty early on. There's a lot of investigation that needs to be done before you can file for a patent anyway. ChatGPT is great. You can send in, you can at least see, what do they call it, freedom of work or freedom of, can't remember the term, but basically you can go in, describe your product as in detail as possible on ChatGPT, and they'll tell you how open it is, so at least if you put it in there, it'll be an initial like no-go, or hey, there's some wiggle room in here, we can probably find something. And then you can talk to a patent attorney, let them do some more investigation, and then once you have your design, you can finish it up. So if there's going to be a patent involved, I would recommend getting that conversation started pretty early on in the design phase,
because that may negate everything downstream.
Yeah, it could save a lot of money for you if there's no room for you. Then you don't have to go in and pay for your design and tooling, and hopefully you're not in the tooling phase before you find out that there's already a patent on it.
So I'm trying to give people an idea of like when they're actually physically writing checks. So the mold's paid for, it's landed, it's at your facility. When's the next check being wrote?
POs for parts themselves. So you'll cut a PO, and then you're paying for parts at that point. Most of the heavy work's kind of out of the way on the design side. Now it's all on sales to get your products out the door.
And that I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and kind of give people more context of what that PO is consistent of, or at least everything that you're paying for. It's paying you guys to source, buy, and get delivered to your facility the raw material, whatever,
sure,
polypropylene, polyethylene, whatever. It's taking the mold out of storage, putting it into the injection molder itself, calibrating the machine, doing the test runs, calibrating for color, whatever that case may be, actually running the PO, which is going to be plus or minus units because a run is a run. And what I mean by that is if somebody orders 500 of something, they're likely going to get 550.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range.
510.
Okay, a little closer. And then that also means that you guys are putting those in a box that's going to get shipped, and or if there's any assembly required or packaging, special packaging needs, that's all covered, and then getting that shipped from there to wherever that facility, to your facility is.
Yeah, and all that will be discussed in the quoting process of, specialized packaging. If it's not bulk pack, it's maybe we're putting it into a storefront packaging where it's pretty and has all the directions, all the wording on it. But there's a lot that goes in on the back end of running a part. It's logistics of getting material there, like you said, just hanging the tool, running the parts.
If there's a color change, there's a purge process.
And that's, you won't be, I guess we're saying this in all just so you know why there's a lead time on all this. It's not just you flip on a machine and parts spit out. There's a lot of work and logistics to go on the back end. So just be aware of all that.
Moving away from risks of the check, now we're running into risks of the operation of getting a part perfect. So we're talking about something that's an annoying thing to deal with versus this is going to end the whole project. First thing I've got is a little cosmetic issue that we may need to adjust in the machine, whether that's a color change or a swirl, or there's some things that could happen. And if you could kind of discuss some of the things that may come up either in the calibration process or first run that can be adjusted in the machine?
There's a lot of imperfections that can happen during the manufacturing process. You've got short shots, color swirls, splay. You could have some bubbling at times, some delamination potentially. All of this needs to be talked about up front about what's acceptable and what's not. How many conversations over the phone, FaceTime, talking about, hey, is this okay? Or, a lot of times we use the arm's length test of, if you can see it from arm's length, chances are the customer's not going to like it. So,
and that's why it's so important to, during your vetting process, to make sure you really understand the type of clients you're most likely to serve. If, like in our case, it's funny, right? Like, people are literally taking dirt, putting it in a tray,
but
they're worried about leaching and contamination issues, mainly because of headlines that they've read over the course of the years. But like, our trays are food safe, they're guaranteed to last. We got a 2-year warranty on there, but they're worried about, is this going to carry bacteria?
That, and I mean, when they're spending quite a bit more for your parts because they're better, they're going to last longer. So when they pull out those parts, they want them to look good. They don't want crazy swirls in them and the color shift to be all wonky. If they're buying orange parts a year from now, they want those orange parts to look the same. So I think it's important to talk through that. If that's important for your customer base, you need to tell the manufacturer, hey, this color has to be consistent. It cannot shift from run to run. It has to be this color orange, this color purple. Black is black in my opinion, but I've seen different colors of black be, all of those expectations need to be brought to the manufacturer up front. You don't care about color? Let them know. I mean, that's okay too. If it's going to be a part that's just hidden, potentially be cheaper for you if you do that.
Yeah, you guys got a bunch of different choices of material you guys can use. Let's talk about sometimes there's a risk involved in, like, there may be a delay in production versus this is a seasonal item at Christmas time. We're making blow mold Santas. I need them around October.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, it's January 22nd. Here's your blow molds.
If you need them in October, you set the expectation you need them September 1st.
Which means you've been working on this for months and months prior to the previous Christmas.
Yeah, so just pad those lead times, whatever they give you, pad it by a month. I know it's cost to carry and inventory is never fun to deal with, but better to have them early than not have them in time. So it's good. I always tell people just add 3 to 4 weeks on that lead time for your sake. You never know what happens. Tool could go down. They could have a bunch of drop-in orders that they didn't foresee that happen right before you put your PO in. You'll have a standard lead time too from your manufacturers. That doesn't mean they're going to hit that lead time 100% of the time.
You've been in 10 years plus. You've seen the same cycles over and over again. How are you helping people understand or coaching people through them, especially the first couple of times, that not everything that comes up is going to end your business? Like, you should constantly be expecting delays, changes, decisions to be made. Like, to this day, we're having to make decisions on our core part that's been around since day one of our company, but things change, suppliers change. The molding process can change depending on the time of year, the season, the weather outside. I mean, it sounds crazy that we're manufacturing a part inside of a building. It all should be the same all the time, but it's just simply not. And you keeping us aware of potential changes that may come up. Again, most of the time you're just making people aware of it, so they're an informed business owner that as they're buying stuff from you.
They can adjust. I mean, it's like number one rule I learned from being in sales in general is just deliver the bad news early so your customer can adjust. Yeah, there's hurdles. There's always going to be hurdles. I don't care if you're in manufacturing or not, there's hurdles. Whether it's a drop-in order that you need to jump on and get, things change daily. You're dealing with people, so you can't let those things snowball. If you let them snowball, it'll end your business. But I mean, that's why businesses stay up and running as they adjust, pivot, and move on.
On the point of risk, and as people are going through this, I just want to point out 3 things, and then we can move on to the next episode. And that's, risk is not evenly distributed, in that you could totally miss the mark in design. You could miss the mark on your molding. That's going to end it. Or you could have little changes in material selection, the finish, the amount that you order, the time of the year that you order it, and it may associate a cost, but it's not going to be detrimental.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to be a little flexible, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I've never seen anybody just hit it out of the park first go. Not in a new product development. It's never been something where, and maybe it works, but they're quickly going into revision 2 soon after launch. So yeah, just be ready to roll with the punches.
Do you feel like that version 1 sometimes is just oh man, we messed up and we got to sell just enough to bankroll the next mold to version 2?
I think that's every product.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always looking for the next best thing. So yeah, got to pay for the tooling, got to pay for all these amortized costs, and then move on to the next revision.
We
or product in general. Maybe you're getting out of that. You're seeing something else and just want to kind of kick that to the curb.
We took a break right before we shot this one, and we were joking that for you and I to basically be in the same room for a full day to do a project like this podcast, it's very difficult for you and I because we're so busy. And leading up to these last few days, you've been cranking out, I've been cranking out, and we're sitting down. We're both probably noticeably exhausted, and that we kind of laughed that anybody was going into this. This is what you get. We're who you're going to be talking to, because everybody in manufacturing is dog tired all the time. It seems like you're always behind, and that's
especially this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it plays into the risk in that, like, you're going to be dealing with people that you're dealing with. If we're thinking about somebody listening to this, the one to go into that, you're dealing with 15, 16 of those types of people at any one given moment, all the time. Mm-hmm. So you're a project manager for all these different companies, and you're having to take all of their best interests to heart, because the better they do, the better you do, and you want them to succeed, obviously. So you're trying to help them make the best decisions. But yeah, manufacturing is, once you get past the excitement, pretty monotonous.
Yeah, the nature of injection molding.
It's the same thing over and over and over again.
A lot of the same things over and over again.
It's fun. Like, I'm trying to go back to my perspective on this. It's like the first time I ever went into the plant. I mean, it was Willy Wonka's place. I mean, it was so neat. I go into a plant now, I'm like 10 minutes. I get it.
Seen it.
And I thought it was interesting. You and I had to visit a polystyrene foam molder.
Yeah.
And how quickly I was able to go, oh, that's what that means. It's for a totally different process, totally different material, but there's so much overlap. Again, I'm using the word shorthand again in this podcast, but it was like, okay, that's where the material comes in. That's the mold. This is how it gets ejected. It still has a cooling process.
A lot of the same verbiage too. So yeah, it is interesting going into other plants though. Now being in injection molding for so long that, you get into extrusion. It's basically the first stage of injection molding. It's extrusion. So I walk into those plants and now I can understand what they're trying to achieve and how they're doing it. But yeah, it is monotonous, but that's it's a beautiful thing when it works great though.
Oh yeah, because then you're just printing money at that point.
That's right.
And I think we talk about material that's that's heated and formed and pressed into different things. For our greenhouses, we have to make springs, and so I get to go to spring companies.
Those are cool.
Man, it's a completely wild process. The machines are very different, and it does take a little bit of time to get used to that. We do a lot of metal welding and CNCing and things like that. So it's, now we're stripping away, instead of adding material, we're stripping material away and changing it. But it's like, you go into these, I don't care who's working in the factories, at the end of the day, something's being changed, reformed, repackaged, sent out the door.
Yeah, and in my world, you kind of take all of those things, because you got CNC on the tool, you got milling, you've got everything involved in one way or another in injection molding. It's multifaceted, but it's a lot of fun. What I love is taking new people in, because it's like watching my first reaction all over again every time we take them in there. So it's impressive. First, when you walk through those doors, it's like, holy crap.
We've had the discussion before, several times in various forms or fashions, where everything you look at has come out of a factory somehow, some way. Somebody had an idea, it got made. Everything we're touching, wherever you're at, just look around, and everything you see, unless it was grown from a seed, has been made out of this factory, which I'm hoping gives you a lot of pause and positivity in that, well, somebody's done it. Like, this is the thing, somebody has done it, and so can you. And we're trying to sit here right here and be like, look, there's a lot of unknowns if you're just starting. There's a lot of what seems like life-ending risk, but it's not. It's just little hurdles to get over, and the trade-offs that you have to make, and that can be done, and it happens every day.
As long as you've got the right people in your corner, it's very doable. It's intimidating, very intimidating. It's almost hard to talk to it now, though, because it's not intimidating to me at all. I know it can be extremely intimidating when you're first looking at it, but as long as you've got some good advice from some people that have done this hundreds of times, you're going to be all right. And it'll be good, and it'll be a beautiful thing, and you get to see an awesome product come out of it.
And I can't think of a better segue to talk about what we're talking about in the next episode, which is why manufacturing conversations seem harder than what they really are. And we'll see you in the next one.